Alright, just some thoughts on Wrath, things that I thought were okay, and things that, going off of the notes that I put in the Discord, some of that stuff was just absolute trash garbage and probably should not be brought up again. Like the two side up, the one side up, walk, side up, back method. That's RNG, depends on the remains, and I think is just RNG in general. And there's another one like with the rolling or something. I was hoping that maybe it would be something that worked out with frame data stuff and just working out with the timing, and that doesn't seem to be the case after further testing. So the rest of them, however, for example, the two that I remember anyways, the mash, fire arrows, and this one seems good, and I did fail it. That wasn't necessarily Majora's having different RNG. It's more like this, if I can do it right. There we go. Something like that. So what's going on is, intentionally what's going on is I'm holding up, mashing fire arrows, and around these frames, I didn't really test them very far, is when I'm targeting, then I'm holding up, and then releasing fire arrows. That seems to... This is a one that specifically will only work, obviously, from the cutscene. That seems to initiate a kick every time, and then because of the spacing, because of everything going on with the fight, I assume... Let me backtrack before I say too much about the assumptions, because I don't think they're all good assumptions. That seems to generally result in a kick, and then a stun, obviously. Now, I say generally. I don't know for certain, but if it's not RNG, like any frame Majora can decide he's going to act after the first cutscene. If it's not that kind of RNG, then I think there's some positional jank when it comes to the generation of the fight, where Majora is, where Link is. I remember Zaz goes into detail on that, on some of the resources he made on Majora, but I didn't review them before this, so I can't talk too much on that. I don't know if it's consistent distancing or not. It seemed like it wasn't consistent distancing, and I'm going to go into that with this next strat, which I think is interesting. Now, this one is the React one. How did it go again? It was, just reacted forehead. Alright, so I take 1-2 steps, quick equip bow, then it's when I also target consequently, and then right, the save state is work because of goat sometimes. There we go. So unfortunately the remains try to get in the way. You can get around that, and I did forget that in previous attempts to record, by specifically just not target shooting. You can just shoot him while he's getting back. This is an interesting thing. I don't know if it's new or not necessarily, but like if you were to just shield after equipping it, you wouldn't have enough frames just because of the recoil that's going on. It looks like Majora jumps away every time. I didn't really experiment fully. Maybe there's a frame that you have or something, but compared to the roll strat, you're able to start pulling a fire arrow much sooner than the shielding strat, and then you obviously would do that. Now, on top of that, if Majora is able to decide to do something else, like a spin, and I don't know 100% what causes the difference. I think it's obviously RNG in some regard. It's either sometimes there's a little extra distance, and so Link has to travel further to get to Majora's kick, reaction box, whatever you call that, versus it's either that or, it's timing. It's just after so many frames he has options to either continue standing still or react. I don't know for sure which it is. Then if he decides to spin, you can just do a choose side up, recoils, and then that will typically stun him. From what I recall, there was one state that I had that if I rolled sooner rather than later, so I think I got up to Majora sooner, he actually did a kick because I got up to him faster, versus the other case where if I rolled later, then he actually did a spin. So I do think there is something to either the position or timing or something, and then rolling simply helps. Specifically sooner, it might be 2 steps, it might not be. I didn't really further test that save state. KZ is being worked tonight. The only other thing I think I want to mention is that you could probably use this strat outside of the first cutscene, and I get a taunt, of course. If you can actually, you just have to time the roll with it, with how close you are. And yeah, this is totally viable in every sense of the word. I'm sure it can be done, but very situationally. Yeah, it can be done. Just, you know, very situationally. And it's just another move in the chess set, I guess that is this fight. Anyways, that's all I have. I've babbled long enough. Good night. I'm going to bed.